Hola a todos, Senor Mississippi here, back with y'all with a digitized and revised way to play BLAMMO. This is not sure how it took me this long to make this game much more accessible with much less prep, less paper cutting. So yeah, let's check it out. So BLAMMO is a great review game. Has all kids invested and involved. So you're going to start with coming up with about 25 to 30 questions, and you're going to want to put them on a Google sheet, Google slide, such as this over here. So you can see here what I've done is, and I'll include this document on the in the comment section of the video. But I've got 25 questions here, and underneath each box, I've got some sentences that I'm going to have my students translate. So we've been working with Billy y las botas dos, and I wanted them to practice specifically writing in the past tense. And so I came up with a bunch of example sentences, either from the video or from the song or from some other digital resources I have found. And you kind of come up with your content review questions in that way. Then, instead of making little strips of all of these sentences and having the students draw these out of the cup, we're just going to have them numbered, and we're going to make a wheel of names wheel. So some of y'all are probably familiar with this wheel. You've probably used it to select random kids in class or for whatever, but Wheel of Names, obviously, is a great website, free wheel to use. So you'll put your kids in groups, and then you can actually push out this wheel to your students. So each group is going to need some sort of device to play on. We have Chromebooks, so the groups of 3 to 4 will have one Chromebook, and I have them set up their Chromebook just like I have here on the screen here, where you kind of do a split screen, one having the wheel and one having the questions. Then you just have the kids decide who's going to spin the wheel, and we'll go through a round just in case some of y'all are curious or not sure how to play BLAMMO. So the kid will spin the wheel. Question number 12. And so the kids will go to their board over here, and what you want to do is you pretty much want to copy and paste a bunch of the same slides and then assign groups to play on different slides so that they don't get mixed up on deleting each other's questions. The kids will come to box 12, and then they'll delete the question, and they will show this to everyone in the group. Okay, so everyone in the group, even though, let's say it was Johnny's spin, everyone in Johnny's group is going to translate this to Espanol on their own sheet of paper that's numbered 1 through 25. So everyone translates, and once everyone has had time to do their translation, you'll have an answer packet on the table or on the available for each group. They'll flip it over, they'll review the answer, and they'll correct their mistakes. I kind of make it a point like, by the end of this review game, everyone should turn in, a piece of paper with 100% perfect Spanish from the review. And it gives them a chance to kind of correct, especially when we're working on any past tense. Here we've got an ir plus a infinitive question, which is another big part of Billy y las botas dos. They review it, and so here are your different scenarios. Let's say Johnny, it was Johnny's spin. He got it correct. He gets 3 points. The other two members or three members of their group, so that's scenario one. Johnny gets 3 points. The other people, if they got it correct, they get 1 point. So you're still incentivizing everyone to play, even if it's not their spin per se. Now, second scenario, let's say Johnny gets it wrong, and Mary got it right, and Bobby got it wrong. So Mary was the only person to get it right. She gets 3 points. Pretty much in any scenario, if only one person got it correct, then that person gets 3 points. In the third scenario, Johnny gets it wrong, but both Mary and Bobby got it right. they're going to do a quick little rock, paper, scissors, decide who gets 3 points and who gets 1 point. As to how they judge if it was right enough or close enough, I let each group decide. I tell them I'm not going to be a judge on who's on what's right or wrong. Typically, I tell my students that spelling is not a huge factor for me. So if they're like 1 letter off, that's fine. But for this specific activity, if they were using the present tense or versus past tense, obviously that was wrong. And so then it goes on to the next person's spin. You're going to tell your students they're going to remove number 12 from the wheel, and then they're going to respin. And this person lands on 23. They would jump to 23, and they're going to hit backspace and delete it. They looked for the boots in space. Again, this gets shown to every kid. Every kid in that group goes to line 23, and they translate in Espanol. They review the answer. If the person that spun got it right, and if everybody got it right, the only person that gets 3 points is the person who spun, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the fun comes when when you're explaining these rules, and the kids are like, "Oh, what's a BLAMMO? What does BLAMMO mean?" Oh, and how about that? I landed on a BLAMMO. So when a kid lands on a BLAMMO, they lose all of their points. And so you want to encourage kids to make sure they hit remove only this once, not remove all instances. This keeps the game pretty fair. It keeps kids invested, especially considering if they know that there's some BLAMMOs out there and the person that's in the lead could land on a BLAMMO. Typically, though, with the BLAMMO, I do say if a kid already is at 0 points and they land on a BLAMMO, they just close, they ignore it and respin. And then also on everyone's first spin of the game, if they land on a BLAMMO, just hit close and go back from there. So it's a really great way. This digital version is so much easier to implement in your classroom. So the one thing I would suggest as a reminder, after each class period, you kind of want to reset your game boards. And so it's very easy to do so. We're just going to go to, well, I might have to expand this here. So underneath your document, wherever you have your slides going, you're going to want to find wherever you can talk about the version history. So let's see if it will let me. I might just go ahead and let me, bear with me here. So underneath this document, you're going to want to go between classes. You're going to want to click on this last edit situation. And pretty much what it's going to allow you to do is reset the entire document to the original version where none of the numbers are deleted. And so we'll come here. I think this is probably the last time I restored it. We'll click on this version here and just make sure that we've got all of our squares back in place. We're loading. Yep. So here, as you can see, we got all my squares back in place. We're going to click restore this version. And now when the kids access this Google slide, so I pretty much put this Google slide and the link for the wheel on a Google Classroom post. And so now when the kids click on this Google Classroom link, they'll have the brand new board to play on. So there's your new and revamped and digitized, oh, there's some more woolly right there. BLAMMO, hope you enjoy, and question, comment, or like, subscribe, and y'all have a great one. Adios.